Welcome to Travel by the Book TV, where we explore literary travel. Today we're in Las Vegas, and while Las Vegas isn't really known for its literature, today we're going to show you 3 great places to browse for books in Las Vegas. I'm outside the Writer's Block in downtown Las Vegas, and this is a little independent bookstore widely recognized as possibly the best independent bookstore in Las Vegas. It's a coffee shop, it's a bookstore, and it's some other things, and we're going to go check that out right now. It's also a place in Las Vegas where writers will come from across the country to sign books and promote their books and do readings. So you should get online and check their event schedule because they have things happening all the time. If you're in Vegas, you can't go to all these other places, all these fancy casinos just to look at them without coming to the Writer's Block, because it is every bit just as spectacular. When you come in here, it will immediately become your new favorite bookstore.
My name is Scott Seeley, and with my husband Drew Cohen, we are the owners of the Writer's Block bookstore in Las Vegas.
And how long have you been here?
In this location, about 4 years. Previously, we were in a much smaller location for another 4 years up on Fremont Street.
Oh, look at this. Figurines based on Bosch's The Garden of Earthly Delights.
We were part of a creative network of storefronts that do free writing programs for kids, and they were all sort of thematic. And when we moved out here to open this bookstore, we just wanted sort of something organic and fun that we could tinker with, and it evolves all the time. The shape of it evolves constantly, sort of just depending on what our interests and whims are.
Oh yeah, what's it called?
Can you tell me about some of the events you do?
It's readings, fiction, poetry, a little bit of nonfiction. We have a lot of book clubs too. We host a whole series of sort of themed book clubs. A big book club where we're doing the bucket list books. We did Don Quixote and Magic Mountain, and then we have a reading women book club, just doing women's literature. I host the bourbon book club, which is we pair a bourbon with the book. It was designed to attract men to book clubs because we have a lot of women, but which is stupid because women like bourbon too. It's still like 75% women, but it's we do get a few guys in there. So.
I was never under the impression that James Baldwin was very tall. But he seems to be, actually he's floating. He's floating about a foot off the ground. Sounds very Baldwin-esque to me. If you're in Vegas and you want to come by and you're watching our show and you want to brush up on your Hunter Thompson, it's right here. Just under the travel. How appropriate.
Our business partners are in the process of opening an art house movie theater right next door.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to be moving all of our events over there into a really beautiful sort of jazz space upstairs.
Cool.
So, yeah.
We have a rabbit, a photo of a rabbit. Look at the actual rabbit. This is the Baron. He's 10 years old. The Writer's Block is a great bookstore that you definitely should stop by. It's time, however, to leave and explore a very different type of bookstore. There was a book that I read in graduate school that really stuck with me. It was called Learning from Las Vegas, and it was an architecture book written by the renowned modernist architect Robert Venturi. Now, Venturi talked about two different types of casino architecture that existed in Las Vegas in the 60s. The first he called the decorated shed. It was just a great big warehouse with some fancy trappings, but an enormous sign that told everybody what it was. The other type he called the duck, based on some building he had seen once that was just shaped like a giant duck. And the duck doesn't need a big sign because the duck is the sign. In Vegas, we still see ducks today, such as New York, New York, a giant casino shaped like New York City, or the Excalibur, a giant castle. Well, we're here today to visit one of the biggest ducks of them all, the Venetian. Now you might wonder what could possibly be considered literary inside this giant massive duck that is the Venetian. And that's a great question. I mean, it's actually a lot like Disneyland. Everything's fake. You can see this fake sky above me. I guess it's different from Disneyland because there's gambling and there's lots of alcohol. And the only ride are these gondolas, which actually cost about as much to ride for 15 minutes as it costs to enter Disneyland. But inside the Venetian is one of the best bookstores in all of Las Vegas. It's Bauman's Rare Book Gallery, and we're headed there now. Whoa, I made a wrong turn somewhere.
This way?
But, we're going this way. But, we are entering Bauman Rare Books. And we're going to speak with the manager. And we're here to speak with the manager, Mary Olson.
Hi, I am Mary Olson here at Bauman Rare Books. I'm the manager, and we've been here in the shops at the Palazzo for about 15 years. Our Las Vegas location is one store of three. We are headquartered in Philadelphia, where they started about 50 years ago, and then they have a store in New York City on Madison Avenue. Las Vegas sees everybody. You know, you have business travelers, you have convention people, you have vacation, just a fun trip. So lots of people come through, you know, international travelers as well. So it's been a great location just to introduce rare books to everybody and anyone.
And I think it works with the Venetian too.
Sure.
It has a sort of...
And it works for Vegas because you can find anything in Las Vegas. So we are just one of the cool different things that you find in Las Vegas. So we obviously have collectors and they will come, they're visiting, they're in town, they know of us. But obviously we're open doors, so anybody can wander in. And actually quite a few people do buy books, just, you know, spontaneous, right. They had no idea, but they'll look around and go, oh, this would be a great gift for family, friend, whoever. Or a lot of people ask about, do you have a first edition of X? And it's their favorite book or a favorite book somebody they know. And if we have it, then out they go. So it's just a fun, different kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you'll see quite a bit of literature and history. I'd say that's our focus, though we deal with other areas. You know, we have some science, a little medical, travel, those kind of things. We generally sell books almost every day. And so obviously we have that kind of daily turnover where we'll pull something out. We're always cataloging new books. So once we get a group of books, we'll kind of request them and they get shipped out to New York and here in Las Vegas. So you'll see some classics. We have some Steinbeck. These are always pretty. These are illuminated leaves from books of ours. So they are preprint that were actually, handmade. Somebody sat and wrote these things and then also did the pretty colors. Those are from the 15th century. Yeah, so those are nice and early. We certainly do a lot of children's literature. So you see Jungle Book and Peter Pan and all kinds of fun things like that.
Here's a letter written by Walter Farley and the Black Stallion to all our good friends attending the special education school in somewhere, Texas. So here's a collection of revised Shakespeare by Thomas Bowdler. And I just the other day heard the term Bowdlerized. I'd never heard that phrase before. But to Bowdlerize something means to censor it, to remove any vulgarities or any inappropriate things that might be offensive, right? And so occasionally you hear of something having been Bowdlerized. And I learned about that just the other day, and then I came across this collection right here. There's a quote here on the top. It says, "I cannot but be gratified at the perceiving that no person appears to have detected any indecent expression in these volumes." Now, Shakespeare was infamous for indecent expression. That's why he's so much fun. And but this is a unique copy, unique selection of Shakespeare, clean and family friendly. Only $3,200. Dalton Trumbo. This is the book that he wrote while he was busy being blacklisted from Hollywood. You've got some special editions of Stephen King. Firestarter for $4,200. It's Salem's Lot and at $7,800. It's his second novel, Inscribed.
This is one of my favorites, Book of the Sword. It is just, as it says, it's a history of the sword. He starts with ancient times and goes all the way through. Lots of fun pictures.
What year?
This was published in 1884.
Oh, cool.
And then the other history book that I really like is the Book of the Pearl. And it works along the same lines as a sword book. It's basically a whole history of the pearl. Different types, how they cultivate them, where they,
These are kind of like
made
hundreds of years old coffee table books.
Yes, absolutely. That would be, it's a beautiful binding. Sits on your shelf or on your coffee table. Everybody can ooh and ah. So today we have some really cool literature. One of our best pieces right now is American edition of Wuthering Heights. And it is a first American edition because the London publication had such a small print run, it's not really available. And this one is also interesting because they attribute it to the author of Jane Eyre, which was Charlotte, but she did not write Wuthering Heights. Emily did.
It doesn't even say it on the...
No, it just says...
Just by the author.
They basically mislabeled it.
Oh, really?
They put it as the author of Jane Eyre.
But it's not, it's her
Jane
sister.
Eyre, right, because Jane Eyre was selling.
Right.
So they wanted the kind of like...
Oh, so they just purposely How misleading.
Right. I know.
Well, I'm sure they looked alike. They're all very close.
This one is also our most expensive at the time. It's $35,000.
And that seems like an amazing amount for a book, but I know it's not.
Right.
How, since in your experience, are some of the most expensive things you've sold?
We've seen things at about $500,000. So if you get like an original first edition of Lewis and Clark's Expeditions in like original boards, 2 volumes, and then it also has a very large map. So that runs quite a bit. Some of the books we've had occasionally of Thomas Jefferson's library. So they get up there like, 75,000 and up, depending on what it is, and if he has annotations. What else? We've also had some early folios of Shakespeare, and so they can be up there in that kind of price range. One really popular piece of American literature is To Kill a Mockingbird, obviously a classic. And then this one, she has actually inscribed it.
Excellent.
And most, she didn't inscribe or sign a lot of her like first or early editions, so this is special. But we also do some documents, illustrations. So here's some framed pieces where you see illustrations. This is a photograph of Bobby Kennedy and Chavez, and it's signed. Down here we have a nice, it's called a carte de visite. Basically it's a calling card that was used in the time, and this is Robert E. Lee.
Right. It's interesting, you said you sell a lot of Civil War stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a very popular time in history.
To collect things.
Yes.
Sure. And Swordman Hillary or somebody else?
No, Robert Perry.
Robert
so
Perry, yeah.
I want to say
North
this is
Pole.
more North Pole. Yes. So that's a letter, and then he has signed it.
Let's see.
So that's a mix. We again, more books, but also documents connected to authors, presidents, history.
Right. If someone's just wandering by, just had some lobster and they're waiting their turn on the gondola, can they wander on in? What's the...
Absolutely. I mean, our doors are open. We're here from 10 a.m. until 9 p.m. every day of the week. People are more than welcome just to come in and browse, take a look, enjoy the history, the beauty of the books, and then they can go from there.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for
My
all your
pleasure.
patience.
Sure.
I'm here in Vegas on a windy October, and our next stop is the annual Las Vegas Book Festival. It's been really windy. This is a palm, I don't know what this is, but it's from one of the palm trees that just fell just near me. I'm gonna head into this book festival now. I'm right in downtown. Now it's mid-October, and that's when this annual event happens, but there are book events throughout the country at different cities. Almost every major city has has a book fair or a book festival or some sort of literary event like this. I encourage you to check yours out. I'm going to see how they do it here in Vegas. They have panels with different writers. It looks like there's a short story panel going on.
But I wrote this short story based on this first line that I had in my head, and then that first line ended up being 3 novels in the short story collection. And that opening line was that Rabbi David Cohen wasn't Jewish, had ceased over time to be a problem.
Yeah, I could relate. I feel what you're laying down regarding that first sentence, and I always mentally call them suitcase sentences because they're just sort of asking to be unpacked. And
Right.
It sounds like your story process is the process of unpacking that.
So I write sexy feel-good romance, contributing romantic suspense, and often make you running around.
Judges, are you guys ready back there? All right, y'all. We're going to move on. And our next poet, also in the grade 10, please show some love to Hazel Hart performing the poem Astrology. Show some love.
There's a teenage poetry slam contest where some young people are performing some really great spoken poetry.
I cannot feel in simple terms. I shove my fingers into my veins and pray I can begin to map my skin. I am exploding and have exploded 1,000,000 times over. I loom into her eyes. Her grief-stricken pupils are my second greatest feat. The wind blows valiantly in my 2 short sleeves and my 2 big shoes.
Have you ever read something so extraordinary, so breathtaking, so unbelievable, the wording be on your mind every day for weeks, that every real terrible happening starts to fall away? Have you ever related to something so much that you cried? Have you ever loved something so much that you couldn't stop thinking about it? Have you ever wondered something so much that it consumed your every waking thought? I have, so many times before.
Well, actually, I write romantic fiction, romantic thrillers. And so I'm here to promote my books. This is my first book of a 5-book series, and this is how I get my face and my books out there.
Excellent. And are you local here?
No, I am not. I actually am from Mexico.
You're from Mexico?
Yeah.
And you travel to book fairs all over?
I do.
And these are mysteries of nature. The kids have to solve the mystery of nature. And this one's about the Grand Canyon, and the kids have to solve the mystery of the Grand Canyon.
This is books that I have written. I'm the publisher and writer. I have published about 14 books.
Both titles are Red and Purple Murder Mystery and Red and Purple Cruise Murder. The main character is ex-detective from the Las Vegas Police Department. First, she solves a murder at the Las Vegas Convention in the casino, and then she goes on a cruise, and this one I just finished. And she has to solve another murder. A little bit like Murder, She Wrote, and so they're short, they're fast, and they're a lot of fun, and I had more fun writing about women of 50 and older, but then I got a perfect example.
And
I'm an author. I wrote my first psychological thriller, Why Am I Lila Jones?
And this is your first book?
Yes, this is my very first book.
How does that feel?
Good. Exciting.
Tell me who you are.
Autoras de vanguardia.
And what does that mean in English?
In English, it's an association of authors of avant-garde.
Avant-garde. Tell me about these books here.
This is a group of authors that is an independent author. And we are here with the only booth that is in Spanish.
Only all Spanish booth?
Yes.
Congratulations. Felicidades.
Gracias.
And are you all authors?
Yes. Yes.
Today, grab your book.
Give me the
Love
mic. Give me the mic. Es mío. Yes, of course. No, regalo de vida. Regalo de vida.
Excellent. I'm going to go into the auditorium here and listen to Elin Hilderbrand speak.
And then I thought, I want to write a novel that's set at a grand hotel in town. And I based it on a place called, believe it or not, the Nantucket Hotel and Resort.
Tell us why you decided to put Grace the Ghost in this.
Okay, so I'm not really a person, this is my 28th book. I'm not really a person who has ever used ghosts. In my 27th book, Golden Girl, I have an angel type thing. And so I was especially hesitant to throw in a ghost because all year I've been getting questions like, what is your relationship to the supernatural? To which I'm like, I don't have a relationship with the supernatural. But Grace came into play because I really needed an omniscient narrator. I needed somebody who was going to be able to see in the rooms and tell us what was going on. And it was a historic hotel that had sort of fallen on hard times, and I thought, you know what? Let's have a little Me Too moment with Grace and make her really modern, and she sort of has a chip on her shoulder, and make her a little different. And she served as my inside intel on what was going on in the room.
The Las Vegas Book Festival has been a lot of fun. Met a lot of really cool authors, as well as just people interested in books, publishers. I've listened to some panel discussions and watched some teenagers practice their poetry. Book festivals happen in every major city, and so they're worth going to, learning about new authors, and hopefully some author you're interested in is going to do that.